Good morning. How are you? Happy Tuesday. Thank you for being here. I get to kick off another week of sessions with you, another week of work. Work is not the right word, but it fits. Let me know how you are in the comments. Let me know if you can hear me well. I have the mic hooked up, but you never know because it's me. It may not be working. So last night, I had a dream, and then I woke up this morning with the song "Signs, Signs Everywhere, Signs." So we're going to talk about signs. And the dream I had, interesting enough, was of a friend I haven't seen in a while. Shout out to Liz. I had a dream we were in a kitchen. It was not the kitchen I remember. It was as if she moved and we were sitting down at this table and she exited for just a moment for something. And I started to look around thinking, this is a very nice new place. Um, so shout out to Liz. I don't know what that means, but I'm sending it out to you. Also, real quick, happy birthday to Joshua. I know today is his birthday, and I'm be texting you later, but happy birthday, my friend, my stepbrother. Hello. So, and with Liz, I know feathers are always a big thing. And so I'm going to start off talking about different signs, and feathers will be our first one. I'm sure there's many of you who have found feathers in very strange spots, maybe while you're walking along and you're praying or you're thinking of someone. And suddenly there's this feather. And it's a pretty cool sign, right? I think it's a really cool sign. Um, with feathers, so people also think of, birds. I know a lot of clients, not a lot, but there's a couple that look at hawks as signs. Hawks are protection, and they'll just be out back sunbathing or something, and all of a sudden, an amazing hawk is just flying right above them, almost in the clouds. And it's a really comforting feeling, right? Signs. I love science. If you've worked with me, you'll know that. Um, so scientifically, there's no like proven thing that a hawk or feathers or even birds or signs or different things. However, it is noted that it does make us feel better. It makes us feel loved. It makes us feel as if our loved ones are still near us. And for that, we have to take it and say it's a real thing for us. It comforts us. And sometimes I always say, you can't make this shit up. You can't make it up. Strange things happen. Uh, I've already talked about it, but I'll mention it again if you haven't heard it. The morning I went back to my condo to clean it after my son passed. So my son passed on a very, very early on a Wednesday morning, like 3:30 in the morning. We had a scheduled move that same day. By the time I got home, movers were almost there, kind of went through the motions, moved. So I still had to clean out my old condo. And it was the next morning, I was walking from my car down the little sidewalk into my condo, and I looked, and the bushes outside of the bedroom my son had been resting, um, there were these. Well, I found one cardinal at the time, one cardinal, and I had lived there for 5 years. Never once seen a cardinal, let alone any bird on that bush outside. So I ran back to my car and grabbed my phone, and you will see it on my Instagram. I'm sure it's on Facebook as well. But I grabbed my phone and I started walking the sidewalk. And as I got closer, there were actually two cardinals. And immediately my heart went to, of course, my son, but it also went to my father, who had passed a year prior. And I felt like we're together, we're good, you've got this, we're here watching you, because I was alone cleaning it out. And it gave me such comfort. And even to this day, you can't make that up. Like 5 years, I never saw a cardinal. So I thought it's quite interesting anyway. So those are some of the signs. Excuse me. I know a lot of times we get signs with songs. Maybe it's like our song, and you're driving along and you're thinking of them. And excuse my voice. Along comes a song, and you haven't heard that song on the radio in years. I know some people who have told me, there was a woman I was with my daughter, and we're driving, and it had been a few years, never heard the song, and all of a sudden our song popped on the radio as we were talking about her husband, and it's quite remarkable. Which brings us to energy. Remember, we're energy inside these beautiful machines. These beautiful machines are still run by the brain, but they're really controlled by God and our soul. And we do know what's right from wrong. It's what we decide to do with it. We have total free will to do whatever we want. So the energy inside of us, I think we pick up the energy with these signs, and we get those chills and the goosebumps and all those things, the feeling of just euphoria. It's nothing but love and just wow. So pretty cool stuff, some of these signs. Maria, good morning. How are you? I can only see certain people if you leave comments on there. Um, and also, just to remind you, I will never reach out to you after this. I will never spam your account. I will never say you have to have a session with me. I will never reach out. I will never do that to you. So, just a good reminder. Another reminder, I am literally in my bed and you are having the first cup of coffee with me. So, salute to a good week, good morning. Maria says, "Good morning. It's definitely comforting for me to see the birds always with me. Isn't it just the most comfortable thing? And we don't have to explain it, and science doesn't have to write about it. We feel it, and there's a knowing, and that's what's important. It gets us moving. It gets us smiling. I'm going to have some coffee and try to help this voice, by the way. Also, if you notice, I wear different bathrobes every week. Um, this bathrobe was given to me as a gift at Christmas from my daughter Rhiannon from Victoria's Secret, which I was very happy with. It's beautiful, feels so pretty. The one I wore last week is a green robe with flowers on it, which also came from Victoria's Secret. However, when it comes to signs, that was given to me by a very close family member when I married my high school sweetheart back in 1991. It was given to me as a gift. I kept it for many years. It got straggly and had to throw it away. And I always missed that bathrobe. And as I moved to Florida years later, many years later, I was in the Goodwill and there was one sitting right there. And I could not believe it. I think I bought it for like $4. And I obviously still have that one. So that was pretty cool for me. I remember being in this wonder moment of, who would throw that out? First of all, second of all, I've been wanting that for years. So that's a pretty cool thing for me. Good morning, Jeffrey, honey. How are you? Everybody say hello to can I say my nephew? Jeffrey, good morning. So yes, we're talking about signs. When it comes to, I know Maria, you mentioned the birds. So I have a very interesting take on birds after all of these years of doing this professionally and talking to so many of you. For a long time, I always thought like, oh, like they turn into a bird or like, how does that work? And again, I love science. So I'm always like, how does that work? Figuring this out, reading so many things about it. And I've come to this term. And I've also heard someone in spirit once say to me, "I'm not a bird. Good Lord, tell him I'm not a bird." And it really made me laugh, of course. And then it sits in with what I've come to term with. Because we are energy and obviously we are in a beautiful machine. When we're outside of our beautiful machine, someday when we expand into that loving, perfect place, I do believe that we're going to know our loved ones are looking for signs. And I think from what I've understood, we summon a bird or summon a butterfly or dragonfly, whatever it is. And I do believe that they sort of move their energy out so we can move ours in and give a sign, fly down, fly around, maybe bug someone in their hair or their shoulder, and then fly back out and allow the butterfly's energy to jump back in. So I don't, my this is just me. You have your own belief and you should have your own belief. My belief is we don't turn into that bird or the hawk, or I think we just borrow that solid body for a moment. Um, and they let us, and that also makes me think sometimes maybe that's why they don't live very long. That's a lot of energy, to be able to go back and forth and to be part of God's creation, and to do this for us and so many other things that they do. So just something to think about. That's all. Um, and then again, feathers are very, to me, very angel like, very like, we're still here. We're here to love you. We're watching, we're listening, we're guiding. Just ask your guides, ask your angels for some help. Ask for a sign, for sure. Ask for a sign. There's nothing wrong with asking for a sign. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You don't get a sign. You're right back to where you are, but more than likely you're going to have a sign. Um, I wrote a couple of things down for you. So, okay, well, yeah, dimes and pennies. That was another one. I know a lot of people that find dimes, that find pennies, pennies from heaven. I also know a lot of people that find quarters. And that's just funny. I don't know if that's Spirit's way of saying, like, you didn't see the penny, you didn't see the dimes, so we're going to give you a quarter. It's a little bigger. Maybe. We don't know. But you will notice little things like that as well. I remember coming back from a gig one night, and it was always late. I was always alone. Not always. This time I was alone, and I was pumping gas at this gas station. I don't even know where I was. It's far from where I live. All alone pumping gas, and I just started thinking of my grandfather. Like, he would not like me to be here alone, and I'm barefoot, and I'm just sweaty and gross, and, like, it's the last place he would want me to hang out. And I looked down, and I never noticed there must have been, I don't know, hundreds of pennies all around me, like I was standing on some of the pennies. It's as if someone just dumped a jar of pennies. I'm not kidding. And I looked down and I looked up and I just started giggling. And I was like, okay, maybe you're here. And I never attributed pennies to him, but at that moment I did. It was, again, one of those moments where you always say, you can't make this up. You can't. And so that was kind of fun for me. And I've never seen that since. I've never had any experience like that since. But that moment, I was a little nervous, and that calmed me down, but it also made me laugh. When you laugh, you're calm. So try to laugh today for anything. I know a lot of people who see rainbows as signs for sure. Cloud formations are a really big thing. um, just looking up at the clouds, and that's a really sweet form of meditation too. You're just sort of watching the clouds move. I noticed up in New York, they don't move as much as Florida. We're always getting that coastal breeze coming through, and but we look up a lot here in Florida, and it moves constantly, and so do the formations. That's always really fun. Scents and smells. I once was in session with someone, and I started to smell ginate. I don't know if anyone remembers ginate, but I do because my grandmother used to bathe with it nightly. So I remember the scent very, very well. And I said to my client, wow, I smell ginate. And she burst out laughing because she said her grandmother basically bathed in it. Like, she drank ginate, is what she said. That was kind of funny. So you also may get sense, and just maybe like a fluttering moment of, oh, I thought I smelled something, but I don't know. Always listen to your soul. Your soul will grab it first, and your brain will try to keep you in the beautiful machine. You might say, I know I saw that, or I know I smelled that. And then the brain says, nope, you're still here. You're still human. We want to keep you here. So don't go that far. Hang out here, be in the present, be in the moment. That's what I've noticed, anyways. Um, Flickering lights. How many of you have had flickering lights? That's a that's a real thing right there. I have known other clients and myself personally where you're driving down a road and you're thinking of somebody, and all of a sudden the lights just start turning off or turning on, like the street lights or other things that are around you. It's pretty cool. I also have noticed that we can throw our energy out. In other words, there's been times I was driving, I was mad. Shouldn't be driving if you're mad, but I was. And I noticed like things like the lights just turning on down this one road. And I thought, wow, is that a sign? Maybe. Or maybe I'm throwing my energy out at it because I'm feeling so much anger that it's got to go somewhere. Um, Speaking of throwing your energy, Jeffrey will like this one. I was married to Jeff's uncle, who I love dearly. We're great friends, no problem. We just weren't good married people. And but at the time, I was freshly with him, and I was standing at the sink, and we had this. He had, because it was his house before me. He had this plaque. It was a footsteps plaque. I was, you only saw, what is it, one set of footsteps because I was carrying you, as the saying goes. And I was washing the dishes and I looked up at this plaque, and the plaque also had a candle in the center. It was like a home interiors plaque with a candle. They're like in there pretty good with like this little stopper. His ex-wife just walked in the house. And back then, like, I didn't say much. And she used to live there and she was coming for her daughter, but she just walked in and I couldn't bear it. I was doing dishes. She walks in. My feelings were like, "Arr," but I'm saying nothing and I'm holding it in. And didn't that candle come off of the plaque across the kitchen and landed at my little Cameron's feet at the time and never broke? Nothing happened to the glass. It was one of those thick pieces of glass, but it landed right there. And I can still picture him looking down and looking at me, and she and I looking at each other, and no one said a word. I picked it up and put it back, but it did soften the moment for everyone. I think it really perplexed us. I've never talked to her about it since. I probably should. Um, but I threw my energy out. It was one of my first experiences of doing that. So keep an eye on things like that. If you're mad and all of a sudden you're like, oh, the sign, the things are going on and off, it could be you. It could be a sign of calming down. Whatever you first think it is what it is. I'm telling you. How about numbers? There's so many of you that have synchronicity in numbers: 444, 333. I know a lot of clients who, let's just say, a parent passed at 2:04, and every 2:04, they happen to look up at the clock out of nowhere, and there's the number, and they're always, that's very comforting. That makes me feel better. Good. Continue to let that feel better. Continue to see that as a sign for yourself that you're never alone. We're never alone, and that love never ends. So love is around you. That's always a pretty cool thing for me. Um, how about how about those of you who don't notice any signs? There are quite a few that just, they're like, I don't get any signs. I don't get it. I don't have a sign. That's okay. Maybe you're just not looking for 'em. Maybe you don't need them. It's not like, not everybody needs a sign. Or maybe you're looking too hard that you're not seeing it. You might be staring in this direction, wanting a rainbow. I need to have a rainbow today. I need to have a rainbow. And meanwhile, there's, a beautiful, white dog walking behind you out of nowhere. I don't know. But just let it happen. Let it go. Again, ask for signs. Let that happen. For some reason in my head right now, I'm getting a cross, like a at the end of a rosary. I'm seeing a cross, and I'm not sure why. That's got to be for somebody. Um, but obviously, crosses are signs as well. Um, I remember dating someone, and when they found out I would carry my rosary in my pocket sometimes, they thought that was stupid. And so I didn't date him anymore. Because to me, it doesn't necessarily mean that rosary is protecting me. It's a reminder that I need to pray. It's a reminder that I'm never alone. It's a reminder that God is constantly with me. And that's why I would carry them. Um, and I think that's what all signs should be for us. They should be a sign of, carrying us forward, a sign that we're loved, a sign that we're never alone, that a sign that we'll be with them in a minute, as I say on my coffee cup. I'll see you in a minute. It's just not today. Um, so yeah, you have a great day too, Maria. She says she's have a great day. If there's any questions you have, please put them up here, and I'm so happy to answer your questions this morning. I usually only stay on here for about a half an hour. And if you're listening on the podcast, because I am turning this into a podcast, and I'm trying to do well for those who listen later, so you can keep up with what's going on in the chat room. Just send me your question, and then later on when you're listening, because you don't have to be live to send me questions. Send it to my email, maryrosemedium@yahoo.com, and I will be more than happy to answer you on the following Tuesday. More than happy. And as I said, this is now a podcast. I decided to stream it on the two main streams that I love, Apple Music and Spotify. So you can listen to it anytime you want. I know 9 o'clock in the morning, some people are just starting with work, AKA my friend Lisa. Shout out to Lisa today. So it's just sometimes it's just easier to listen if you're working out or if you're driving. Um, I'm more than happy if you listen along. And again, send in your questions. So if anyone has any questions, please go ahead. I do have sessions available today too if you want to explore further on your own personally. I have email, I have phone, I have Zoom. I have something called Just One Question, which is exactly it, just one question. That one is read and handled within 6 hours. I definitely get to those in 6 hours. Even if you go on to book and you say, oh, she doesn't have anything until Saturday. If it's just one question, I will see it come through and I will handle it within 6 hours of your booking. So that will change from Saturday to today or whenever it is the day that you book. I promise. I always look out for those, as I always look out for emails, and then phone and Zoom. So if you need anything, and obviously, as you probably already know, there are daily reflections on my website. So instead of opening an oracle card on your own, um, stop on the website, save it on your home screen. If you go to maryrosemedium.com, there's a share button at the bottom of your browser, and it'll say share to or something about putting it on your home screen. Just do that. That way you can just tap it every morning and you could see your daily reflection. And hopefully that's another sign for you that might help. I've had so many people write to me and say that daily reflection was absolutely for me. I'm like, okay, I pray over them every week when I redo them. They're fresh every week. And sometimes I don't know what I'm doing, and that's okay. You know what I'm doing. So, well, I hope you understand a little bit more about signs. Whatever your sign is for you. If it makes you feel great, that's a real sign. If it helps with grief, if it helps with um, even just getting through a decision, that's great. If you're still not sure, I constantly say, please pray about it because your belly is going to get the right answer. It's just going to really confirm what that answer is for you. God is not a God of confusion, so you won't be in a confused state of mind when you're making a decision. You should be a very solid, prayerful, I got this moment, and then make that decision. And if we all obey, life will be a lot better, I promise. All right. Have the best Tuesday ever. I hope your coffee is warm and or ice if you like iced coffee. I don't, so sorry. I keep referencing the hot coffee. and enjoy yourselves. And I'll see you very, very soon. All right. Now let's see if I could end this. I never know how to end this. So I think that's it. Yeah.